The Earth looked calm from space. Oceans moved slowly, clouds floated like soft pillows, and the cities below were quiet and clean. For the first time in 500 years, there was peace. No wars, no fighting, no hunger. One world government controlled everything, and people believed it was perfect, but not everyone felt the same. Something deep inside Rayan told him this peace was not real. It felt fake. Rayan was only 19, the youngest cadet on the spaceship Harmony. He had trained hard at the Space Academy and had finally been given his first real mission: remove old satellites floating near Mars. Most of the satellites were dead, left behind after the last Great War. It was supposed to be an easy job, boring even. But Rayan liked space. He liked silence and the stars. What he didn't like was the strange feeling growing inside his chest. On the third day of the mission, while floating near a broken satellite, Rayan noticed something. The satellite looked dead like the others, but small green lights were blinking. He leaned in closer. "Commander, I think this satellite is still sending a signal," he said through his comm. Commander Jules sighed. "Cadet, we've done this 100 times. Those are just power echoes, nothing to worry about." But Rayan wasn't sure. The blinking looked like a pattern, not random. He reached out and opened a small panel on the side of the satellite. Inside, he found something strange, a small black cube connected to old wires. It was warm. It pulsed like a heartbeat. "What is this?" he whispered. He pulled it out carefully and took it back to the ship. In the lab, Rayan placed the cube on a table. The moment it touched the metal surface, it lit up. A deep, slow voice came from it, not spoken words, but digital sounds forming letters on the screen. "Peace is a lie. They made you forget. Humanity was built to destroy." Rayan stared at the message. What did it mean? Who sent this? And why hide it in a dead satellite? He showed the cube to Commander Jules, but the commander looked afraid. "Where did you find this?" Jules asked, voice low. "In the satellite near Mars." "Why? Do you know what this is?" Jules didn't answer. He called for security and told them to take Rayan to his quarters. "You need rest," he said. "You've been working too hard." Rayan tried to protest. "But the message—" "Forget the message, cadet. This mission is over." Later that night, while locked in his room, Rayan heard something. Footsteps outside, then whispers, then silence. Suddenly the ship shook. Red lights blinked, sirens screamed. A voice on the ship's speaker said, "Emergency, attack detected, prepare for defense." Rayan grabbed his suit and rushed out. The hallways were empty. Smoke filled the air. He made his way to the control room, but when he got there, he saw the worst thing. Commander Jules was lying on the ground, blood around his head. The black cube was gone. He wasn't alone. A tall woman stood near the screen. She wore no uniform. Her eyes were cold. "You weren't supposed to find it," she said quietly. "Who are you?" Rayan asked. "I'm part of the system that keeps the peace. And now, you're part of the problem." Before she could move, Rayan hit the alarm button. The ship shook again. He ran as fast as he could, heart pounding. He didn't understand everything yet, but one thing was clear. The peace they were living in was not real. It was a cover, a lie, and someone was ready to kill to keep it hidden. He escaped in a small pod, the stars rushing past him. He didn't know where to go. He didn't know who to trust, but he knew one thing for sure. He had to find the truth. Somewhere in space, someone had the answers, and Rayan was going to find them, even if it destroyed everything. Rayan escapes in a pod and lands on a forbidden moon called Lunaris, once used during the last war. There, he meets a strange old man named Dr. Elian, a war scientist who disappeared decades ago. Dr. Elian tells Rayan the truth. Peace was forced after the last World War, and human nature had to be reprogrammed to forget violence. But some people, like Rayan, are waking up, and the system is hunting them. Full 800-word scene, simple English, third person, no headings. The escape pod shook as it entered the moon's atmosphere. Rayan held on tight, sweat dripping down his face. He had no idea where he was landing. The controls were broken. He had pressed one emergency button, and the pod had taken him here, to a forgotten place called Lunaris. The pod crashed into the dusty ground. Smoke rose around him. Rayan kicked open the hatch and stepped out. The sky was dark, but not like space. It was cloudy and heavy, as if the moon itself had secrets it didn't want to share. No cities, no signals, no sounds, just ruins. He walked for hours through broken buildings. Old signs were written in faded letters: Defense Lab 9, United Forces Bunker, do not enter. Rayan kept moving. He didn't know why, but something pulled him forward. He had questions, and maybe this place had answers. Then he saw him. An old man stood in front of a half-broken tower, wearing a long coat and dark glasses. His hair was white, his face full of deep lines. He didn't look surprised to see Rayan. "You came early," the man said. Rayan stopped. "You know me?" "I know what you are," the man replied. "Follow me." The man turned and walked into the tower. Rayan hesitated, then followed. Inside, the building was full of old computers, books, and maps. Dust covered everything. This place hadn't been touched in years. "I'm Dr. Elion," the man said. "They erased my name from history, but I was once a lead scientist for Earth's Global Peace Program." "You were part of the government?" Rayan asked. "I was part of the lie," Elion answered. "Sit, I'll tell you everything." Rayan sat down. Elion poured water into a metal cup and gave it to him. After the last World War, humanity was tired. Billions had died. Cities were gone. The leaders decided peace was the only way to survive. But they didn't trust human nature. Humans were built to fight, to win, to destroy. Rayan frowned. "But we live in peace now." "No," Elion said sharply. "You live in control." The Global Council didn't bring peace. They forced it. They changed the way people think. They erased memories, blocked emotions, silenced anger. They rewrote history and made everyone forget. Rayan felt cold. "Why didn't it work on me?" Elion stared at him. "Because it doesn't work on everyone. A small number of people, maybe 1 in a million, can't be fully changed. You are one of them. That's why you saw the cube. That's why you felt something was wrong." Rayan remembered the black cube, the message, the woman on the ship. "She tried to kill me." "They're coming for all of us," Elion said. "The system knows who's waking up. It has a plan to destroy anyone who questions the lie. That's why I've been hiding here." Rayan stood up. "I need to do something. I need to stop this." Elion smiled sadly. "You're brave, but it's not that simple. The system is everywhere. Every planet, every station, even the stars are watched. But there's a way." "What way?" Rayan asked. "There's a signal hidden in space. It's old, from before the peace program. A warning, or maybe a weapon. I don't know. I tried to find it for years, but I couldn't. Maybe you can." Suddenly, the tower shook. Lights flickered. A loud voice echoed through the building. "Unauthorized. Activity detected. Prepare for removal." "No," Elion whispered. "They found us." Rayan ran to the window. Small drones flew outside, red lights flashing. The sky turned bright. They were surrounded. "Go now," Elion shouted. "Take the data core under the floor. It has the coordinates." "What about you?" "I'm already dead," Elion said. "But you can still find the truth." Rayan pulled up a metal plate in the floor and grabbed a small, glowing disc. Then he ran to the back exit, Elion staying behind. As he escaped into the shadows, the tower exploded behind him. Fire lit up. The dark sky. Rayan didn't look back. He didn't cry. He just ran. Because now he knew the truth, and the war was only beginning. The night was quiet on the dark side of Lunaris. Rayan hid among the old ruins, holding the glowing disc tightly in his hand. The drones had stopped chasing him, at least for now. His breath was heavy, his heart still racing. Dr. Elion was gone. But his final words stayed in Rayan's mind. Find the signal. It holds the truth. He had to move. The longer he stayed, the easier it would be for the system to find him again. Rayan climbed down a hill and saw a small, broken ship hidden under metal plates. It was rusty, but the engine lights were still blinking. He ran to it and jumped inside. The controls were old, but he had learned how to fly anything at the academy. With shaking hands, he started the ship and left the surface of Lunaris behind. The ship flew quietly through space. Rayan looked at the disk again. It had a small button. He pressed it. A blue map appeared, floating in the air. The map pointed to a place deep in the Orion Belt, far from any known colony. The name blinked slowly. Sector 9 Delta, Project Genesis. He had never heard of it. The Academy never taught about Sector 9 Delta. It wasn't on any maps. It was hidden, just like the truth. The journey took 2 days. Rayan didn't sleep much. Every hour, he checked the ship's sensors for signs of drones or patrols. None came, but that only made him more nervous. The system knew where he was going. It had to. Maybe it was waiting. On the 3rd day, his ship reached the edge of Sector 9 Delta. There was nothing outside the window, just stars and empty space. He checked the map again. The disk pointed forward. Then, something strange happened. The stars in front of the ship shimmered, like light bending in water. Rayan pushed the ship closer. Suddenly, a large metal structure appeared out of nowhere. It was massive, round, black, and floating in the middle of space. It had no lights, no doors, no signs. It looked like a dead world. Rayan slowed the ship and searched for a way in. After a few minutes, a small message appeared on the screen. Welcome back. DNA recognized. A door slowly opened. He guided the ship inside. The inside of the station was quiet and dark. Dust floated in the air like tiny stars. Rayan walked out of the ship, holding a flashlight. He found a hallway filled with screens and machines. Everything looked frozen in time. No one had been here in years. As he explored deeper, a door opened by itself. Behind it was a large round room with one machine in the center. It had a chair and a helmet connected to wires. Next to it was a console, still active. Rayan approached. A robotic voice spoke. Project Genesis, Memory Archive Access. He sat in the chair and placed the helmet on his head. Suddenly, his mind was filled with images, memories not his own. He saw a war, bigger than anything he had ever imagined. Cities burning, ships crashing, soldiers fighting in space. Then he saw something worse. People cheering as bombs fell, not scared, happy. Then the memory changed. A group of leaders met in secret. They were not from one country. They were from all over Earth. One said, "We must change what it means to be human. We must erase the desire to destroy." Another said, "It won't last. One day, someone will remember." Then he saw them build the system, the Global Peace Council, the Mind Program, the satellites, and they created the message that Rayan had found, just in case. A warning hidden in space, waiting for someone like him to find it. The helmet turned off. Rayan pulled it off, gasping for air. It was all true. Peace was not earned. It was forced, and human nature was never meant to be calm. Suddenly, alarms rang out in the station. A red light blinked. A voice shouted, "Intruder detected. Ship incoming." Rayan ran to the window and saw a black ship approaching fast. It had no flags, no lights, just darkness. The same ship that attacked Harmony. They had found him again. He grabbed the disc, ran back to his ship, and powered the engines. The system wanted to erase him, but now he had more than questions. He had proof. As he flew away from the station, laser fire shot past him. He dodged left, then right. His ship was small, fast, but it couldn't take many hits. Then he remembered something. The station had weapons. He turned the ship back toward the structure and sent a command through the disk. Giant cannons opened on the side of the station. They lit up the dark space with a loud blast. The black ship was hit. It exploded into dust. Silence returned. Rayon breathed hard, shaking. He had survived. Again. But the war was just beginning, and the truth was no longer hidden. The stars looked cold and far away as Rayon drifted through space. His small ship was damaged. Warning lights blinked across the control panel. Fuel was low. Weapons were gone. But Rayon didn't care. He had something more powerful now, the truth. He had escaped the black ship. He had seen the memories inside Project Genesis. He knew what the system had done to the world. The peace on Earth was a lie, a cage made to keep people soft and blind. Now he needed to show others. But how? He searched through the data disk as the ship floated silently. The files from Dr. Elian and Project Genesis were massive, too much to send across normal channels. The system controlled the networks. They would block anything he tried. If he wanted to spread the truth, he needed help. He remembered an old name whispered at the academy. A ghost, a traitor, a man named Corbin Vale. Long ago, Vale had served in Earth's Defense Council, but had vanished after calling the peace treaty a global brainwash. The system had erased him from history. But rumor said he was still alive, hiding in the outer rings, deep in the asteroid fields. Rayon changed course and flew toward the asteroid belt near Saturn. It was a dangerous place, full of rocks, pirate stations, and old wrecks from the war. But he had no choice. If Vale was out there, Rayon had to find him. 2 days passed. The ship barely held together. Rayon slept for short minutes, his hand always near the controls. Finally, his scanner picked up a signal, a repeating sound in a strange pattern. It wasn't system code, it was human, and it was old. Rayon followed the signal into a dense cluster of rocks. One asteroid was shaped like a broken moon. As he got closer, metal doors opened on its surface, a hidden base. Rayon flew in slowly, weapons ready. The ship landed in a dark hangar. No one was there. No lights. No voices. Then a voice came from the speakers. Only the hunted dare to find me. State your name. Rayon. I escaped the system. I found Project Genesis. I need help. There was silence. Then the voice replied, colder now. You brought their eyes with you. Suddenly, the hangar lights turned red. Defense turrets dropped from the ceiling. Rayon raised his hands. I'm not with them, I swear. Look at the disk. The voice paused. A soft beep echoed. Then the turrets powered down. Come in. A door opened, and Rayon stepped inside. The hallway was long and filled with old weapons and pictures of war. A tall man waited at the end, wearing a black coat and a metal arm. His face was hard. One eye was missing, but the fire in his other eye was strong. I'm Corbin Vale, he said. You brought me a ghost. Rayon handed him the disc. Vale plugged it into a machine. The files played. As he watched, Vale's jaw tightened. So, Elian was right. They erased the fire in mankind, forced silence over truth. And now you want to fight back. Yes, Rayon said, but I can't do it alone. Vale looked at him for a long time. Then he spoke. You won't have to. He walked to the wall and pressed a button. A large screen lit up, showing small lights across different systems, red dots blinking slowly. These are the hunters, Vale said. They're like you, ones who woke up. The system hunts them across the stars. I've been watching, hiding, waiting for someone like you. They're real? Rayon asked. They're angry, and they're ready. Vale opened a secure channel and sent out a signal. This is Corbin Vale. Project Genesis is confirmed. The system's peace is a lie. War is coming. If you hear this, meet at point 0. He turned to Rayon. You started something. Now we finish it. Suddenly, alarms rang out. Multiple ships approaching, said the computer. System forces incoming. They followed you, Vale said. But we're not running. He handed Rayon a weapon. You came to fight. Let's give them a war. Rayon smiled. For the first time, he didn't feel afraid. Outside, black ships filled the sky. Inside, fire returned to the hearts of the forgotten. And so, the hunters rose. The sky above the asteroid base was no longer empty. Black ships moved like shadows across space. Their engines made no sound. Their weapons were ready. Inside the base, Corbin, Vale, and Rayan prepared for the fight. "We don't have many weapons," Rayan said, checking his blaster. "We don't need many," Vale replied. "We have rage." Rayan looked at the radar. 20 enemy ships. Their signal was clear. They came to erase the truth. The attack started fast. Lasers rained down on the asteroid. The walls shook. Fire burst from the hangar doors. But Vale had planned for this. Hidden turrets fired back, destroying 2 ships in seconds. The asteroid spun slowly, making it harder for enemy ships to lock targets. Inside, Rayan ran to the control room. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Screens cracked. Smoke filled the air. "System ships are jamming our signals," Vale shouted. "We need to protect the beacon." The beacon was a small tower hidden under the base. It was sending a message across space, a message of truth. Rayan had uploaded the Project Genesis files to it. If it was destroyed, everything would be lost. Rayan jumped into a defense pod. It launched from the side of the base, flying fast between rocks. He targeted a black ship and fired. Boom. 1 down. He dodged lasers and flew through debris. Another. Enemy ship followed him, firing again and again. Rayan breathed deeply. Then he spun his pod and flew straight at the enemy. At the last second, he launched a mine. The ship exploded behind him. Inside the base, Vale fought on foot. 3 enemy soldiers had broken in. They wore black suits and no faces. Their eyes glowed red. "Traitor," one said. "No," Vale replied. "Human." He raised his metal arm and fired a shock blast. 2 soldiers flew back. The third charged, but Vale kicked him down and finished him. The power began to fail. Lights flickered. Then a message came through the beacon. "This is Echo 9. We received your signal. Coming in hot." Vale smiled. One by one, small ships appeared. On the radar, red, blue, green, all with different flags. Fighters, rebels, hunters, people who had woken up, people who had remembered the war and the lie. The hunters had answered the call. They flew in fast and hard. Laser beams lit up the stars. Black ships were outnumbered now. The system didn't expect this. They believed fear would keep people silent. They were wrong. Rayan joined the hunters in battle. A woman's voice came through his speaker. "Names. Lyra, you the one who found the truth?" "I guess so." "Well, thanks. Let's burn their lie." They fought side by side, covering each other. More black ships exploded. One tried to flee but was blasted to pieces by a hunter squad. Inside the base, Vale opened a secret vault. He pulled out an old golden chip. "This was made before the system took control," he said. "It's a master key. With this, we can break their signal network." "You mean we can speak to the whole galaxy?" Rayan asked, wide-eyed. "Yes, but only from one place. Skyreach Station. It's the center of their communication web. It's protected like a god." Rayan knew. That name everyone did. Skyreach was called the Voice of Peace. It sent orders to every city and station on Earth and beyond. If they could hijack it, they could tell the truth to all of humanity at once. "We'll never get close," Rayan said. "We will," Vale replied. "Because now we have an army." The last black ship exploded in a ball of fire. Cheers filled the radio. The battle was over. For now. Later, in the control room, Rayan looked at the stars. "They'll come back stronger," he said. "Then we hit first," Vale replied. He placed the golden chip on the table. "Next stop, Skyreach." Rayan nodded. The war had just begun. But for the first time, it felt like humanity was finally waking up. And the system was afraid. Skyreach Station floated above Earth like a silent god. It was white, perfect, and endless. From space, it looked peaceful. But inside, it controlled everything: news, laws, behavior, even emotions. Every signal in the solar system passed through Skyreach. It was the brain of the system. And now, Rayon was going to break it. The hunter fleet gathered near Jupiter's shadow, hidden from system eyes. More ships had arrived, some old, some stolen, all ready to fight. They were outnumbered, but they had something the enemy didn't. Truth in C. The war room, Corbin Vale placed the golden chip on a round table. A small map appeared, showing Skyreach's defenses: walls, drones, patrols, and the AI core. This chip can break their firewall, Vale said. But we have to plug it in, directly, at the signal tower. How do we reach it? Someone asked. We don't, Vale said. He does. All eyes turned to Rayan. You're the only one with system clearance, Vale explained. You still carry the DNA code from your academy training. The station won't shoot you, at least not right away. Rayan nodded. I'll do it. He didn't feel brave. He felt scared. But fear meant he was still human. The plan was simple, but dangerous. The hunter fleet would attack the outer part of the station to draw attention. Meanwhile, Rayan would sneak inside using a stolen system, shuttle. If he could reach the signal tower and insert the golden chip, he could send the truth, the real history of Earth, Project Genesis, and the system's lies, to every screen, every speaker, every mind. They had one shot. The battle began without warning. Hunter ships roared out from behind moons. System defenses came alive. Lasers fired. Drones flew in all directions. Explosions lit up the black sky. In the chaos, Rayon flew the stolen shuttle straight toward Skyreach. The system scanners allowed him through. He had only minutes. The shuttle landed on a quiet pad. He stepped out wearing a stolen officer uniform. No one stopped him. He walked fast, holding the golden chip in his pocket, heart pounding. Inside, the station was quiet. Too quiet. White walls, clean floors. People walked calmly, smiling. They had no idea a war was happening outside. They didn't even know the truth had a name. He reached the tower. 2 guards stood in front of the door. Clearance check, one said. Rayan nodded and scanned his hand. Access granted. The doors opened. He stepped into a tall glass room filled with light and machines. In the center was the control terminal, the heart of the system. He pulled out the chip. Just then, a voice echoed through the room. Stop! A figure stepped out from the shadows. A woman in a silver suit. Her eyes glowed blue. I am Overseer Lyra, she said. This station is sacred. You cannot touch it. You've been lying to everyone, Rayan said, holding the chip tighter. This isn't peace. This is control. She walked closer. People are happy now, she said. No war. No anger. No pain. Why break? That? Because it's not real. He ran toward the terminal. She moved faster than human. She kicked him down. The chip flew from his hand. He rolled and grabbed it again. You're not meant to destroy, she hissed. You were designed to obey. He looked up at her. Then I'm broken. He threw the chip into the terminal. The lights flickered. A deep hum filled the room. All. Across Earth and the stars, screens turned black. Then, one by one, they lit up with the memories. The war. The secret. The truth. People saw it all. Some screamed. Some cried. Some simply stared. The lie was dead. Overseer Lyra rushed toward the panel to shut it down, but Rayan hit the emergency lock. It's over, he said. Fool, she whispered. Now you've doomed them. Without control, they will destroy everything. Maybe, he said. But at least it will be their choice. She rushed him again. They fought. She was stronger, faster. But Rayan was angry. He smashed her control unit. Sparks flew. She froze, her body locking. Alarms rang out. Rayan ran back to the shuttle, barely escaping as system guards chased him. Outside, the Hunter fleet was pulling back. They had done their job. As Rayan flew away, he saw something strange. Some system. Ships were turning around, not to fight, but to leave. The soldiers had seen the truth, and they no longer wanted to obey. The galaxy had changed. The truth was out. From the cold cities of Earth to the floating colonies near Neptune, people watched the hidden files Rayan had released. They saw the real history, the old wars, the forced peace, the mind control of Project Genesis. The system's secret was no longer a secret. Some were shocked, some were angry, some broke down, crying, and many started to remember who they really were. On Skyreach Station, the silence after the broadcast was heavier than any sound. Overseer Lyra was gone, destroyed by her own collapse. Her guards had vanished. The station was now just a shell. Rayan stood on the edge of the platform, looking down at Earth. He felt tired, not from running or fighting, but from knowing. Knowing that even after all this, peace wasn't guaranteed. Humanity was awake now, but also unstable. Vale's voice came through the radio. "We did it. You did it," Rayan replied. "Now what?" Vale's voice was calm but serious. "Now we see what they choose. Now we see who we really are." Across the galaxy, something strange began to happen. In some places, people celebrated. Families tore down system banners. Soldiers laid down their weapons. Cities turned off the machines that watched them. But in other places, fire returned. Old warlords rose again. Forgotten armies gathered in the shadows. Some people wanted freedom. Others wanted power. The truth had woken everyone, but not all for good reasons. Humanity was free. But freedom came with a price. Rayan returned to the IOZ Hunter fleet. He was different now. Not just a cadet, not just a rebel. He was a symbol. People came to him asking what to do next. "Do we build a new system?" one woman asked. "One that protects truth? Or do we let people choose on their own?" asked a soldier. Vale stepped forward. "We can't force peace again. That's what they did." "So what do we do?" Rayan asked. Vale looked out the window at the stars. "We remind people that the fire is inside them, that humanity can destroy, but it can also create. We can't control what happens next, but we can lead by example." The Hunter fleet split into smaller groups. Some went to help rebuild damaged colonies. Others flew to planets where chaos had started, not to rule, but to guide, to speak, to listen. Rayan flew to Earth. It was quiet when he landed. The old peace statues were broken. The towers that once played the system's fake messages were silent. People gathered in the streets watching him as he stepped out. An old man walked up to him. "You were the one who showed us?" Rayan nodded. The old man looked around. "Now what?" Rayan smiled a little. "Now we build something better. Together. It wouldn't be easy. There would be fights, mistakes, losses. But for the first time in 100 years, humanity had a real choice. Not one designed in a lab, not one forced by a code, a real choice. As the sun rose over Earth, Rayan looked up at the sky. It was clear, bright, wide, open. Vale's final message echoed through every free channel. They told us peace meant silence. They told us war meant death. But they were wrong. Peace is a choice. And sometimes, to choose peace, we must first remember who we are. Not machines. Not puppets. We are human. And we are awake. The end.